Hey everyone, Jennifer Lee Chan here from NBCSportsBayArea.com, and the uniform schedule has just dropped. So let's talk a little bit about the uniforms and the strategery involved in what the 49ers are doing with their uniforms. So they've got five uniform iterations this year. The white classic, that's the 94 throwbacks. The red classic throwbacks, the white traditional primary uniforms, the red traditional primary uniforms, and then the black rivalry uniforms. So there's five iterations of 49ers uniforms. And Kyle Shanahan is all about trying to eke out any type of advantage whatsoever. So the 49ers are wearing white jerseys for the first six games, six straight games to start the season. They're wearing whites. So it'll be white primary jerseys for week one and week two. Those are the away games. Those are, that's normal. So week one in Seattle, week two in New Orleans, white away jerseys. Totally normal. Week three, when they return home, they will be wearing the white throwbacks, the 94. Those are my favorite, actually. The white throwback 94 jerseys. Those will be their first home game. And then again, home game, white primary jersey again. So that's week four. Week five, white primary jersey again. Week six, white primary jersey again. Do you catch a theme here? So for the first 6 weeks, 49ers will be wearing a white jersey. So that is at the Seahawks, white, at the Saints, white, hosting the Cardinals, that's the white 94 throwbacks, hosting the Jags, white primary, in Los Angeles for that Thursday night game, white away game jersey. Week five. That's one, two, three, four, five. That's a week five in the Rams. Week six at the Buccaneers. It's going to be hot there. White primary jerseys. Those are normal. Finally, in week seven, and that is when the 49ers host the Falcons. That's week seven. Host the Falcons at Levi Stadium's red throwbacks. That is a night game. So, I think the jersey color doesn't really offer an advantage or disadvantage. Then they travel to Houston, white primary jerseys. Travel to New York Giants, white primary jerseys. Come home to host the Rams. That is where they wear the red, regular primary jerseys. Week 11 at the Cardinals, indoor stadium, doesn't matter. White away game, primary jersey. Hosting the Panthers in a night game. That is the Carolina Panthers again. That's a red primary. They go to the Cleveland Browns. That is white primary, normal. Bye in week 14. Week 15, they host the Titans, red primary jersey. Week 16, they travel to Indianapolis, indoor stadium, doesn't really matter. And it's at the end of the season. It's colder at this time, December 22nd. White primary away jersey, that is at the Indianapolis Colts. They come back home to host the Bears. That's the red throwback jersey. That is a night game as well. And then the rivalry jersey. Week 18, they host the Seattle Seahawks. That's January 4th. Time to be determined. So I think it's fascinating that Kyle Shanahan has said, they stated last year that it was one of the home games. They hosted the Arizona Cardinals, and they really wish they would have said to the league ahead of time, let's wear the whites. It's hot, it bounces, reflects sunlight, keeps the players cooler. So now, with that in mind, they really planned ahead this year, and the first six games in white, 8 out of the 9 first games, all white, 1 week with red. And they really don't wear their red home jerseys until week 10. Week 10 is the first time you're going to see red home jerseys, the traditional primary red iteration of the jersey at home. It's pretty crazy. So a lot of strategy involved, and I know Kyle Shanahan has been a huge influencer in those decisions, but really trying to take advantage of everything possible. He regretted not having the white jerseys available to them last year, and so they made changes, learning from your mistakes. So white jerseys for a lot of the beginning of the season. And I mean, you look at how many times they're wearing white jerseys, 1, 2, 3, 11 times out of 18 weeks, 17 games, 11 times they're wearing white. So That is the news about the schedule. But obviously, Monday, bonus practice, a lot of things to take a look at when we get to Santa Clara tomorrow. And I will be there, and it's going to be a bonus practice, which probably means a shorter session. And the media right now is only allowed to watch warm-ups and individual drills. But what's going to be something that we're going to definitely keep an eye out for is Jauan Jennings back on the field. A lot of players could be returning. It'll definitely kind of set a precedent for who's going to be ready for week one. Jauan Jennings is a big one. Also looking for Dominic Pooney. Is he going to be doing team drills? Is he going to be doing individuals? Since he hurt his knee, hyperextended his knee, he's only been doing individual drills on the side. So, I mean, he's made huge progress from limping around Levi Stadium to not being able to bend his knee to starting to not wear the sleeve to being involved in running and jogging with the trainers. If he gets involved with warm-ups with his position, that is a huge step in thinking that he's going to be ready for week one. Another guy who's been kind of testing the waters, kind of getting ready, is Jordan Watkins. Is he going to be ready? He has not participated in individual drills at all yet either. Him, along with Kalia Davis, those three guys are kind of on that cusp of being ready to go back to team drills and even individual drills, and we'll see if they're going to be ready for week one. Not sure about Jordan Watkins, but I do think Dominic Pooney is trending towards being ready. Michael Williams is back at practice. CJ West is back at practice. One of the things that has been kind of fun to watch is how Nick Bosa is interacting with his fellow defensive linemen. And one of the things that he always does as the team gathers together for the huddle, he runs towards the middle, kind of like it's almost like they're herding cattle. He runs in from one side. Fred Warner runs in for the other side. They meet kind of as the team is gathering together. They kind of jump up and together, and then they run and kind of herd the whole team up into a huddle. And then after they break the huddle now, Nick Bosa and Michael Williams run over to where the defensive line does their drills. And he's kind of always kind of jogged over there before, but Michael Williams is the guy who kind of sprints over. Well, now Nick Bosa and Michael Williams are sprinting together and they kind of jostle with each other. And, one goes ahead, one goes ahead. And so it's kind of this fun thing that I've noticed where he has been kind of competing with Michael running over to the defensive line drills. So Michael Williams likely, I would think, be out there for week one. Same with CJ West. Not sure about Alfred Collins. Is he going to be ready to go out there and be involved in team drills? Not sure. He's, missed all of the offseason before training camp. And so he's been kind of behind pace a little bit because he's catching up. He is getting better. Robert Saleh said he's getting his feet underneath him. He's getting much better, but not sure he's ready for week one. But he could be out there just on a rotational basis. It just depends on how many guys are going to have active on game day versus inactive. A guy who has been back at practice is Upton Stout. He had a calf injury as well. Obviously, healed faster than Jauan Jennings' calf injury. He's been out there at practice, so I expect him and Chase, sorry, um, Chase Lucas to be in competition for that nickel spot. So Chase Lucas and Upton Stout, who's going to be out there? Now, both of them have earned the right to be out there on a rotational basis, but we'll see how they work out the inactives list. All right. Obviously, the big news is, or the big question mark for week one is where's Jauan Jennings going to be? Is Jauan Jennings going to be active? And that's who I'm going to be looking out for on Monday when I get to the facility. Is Jauan Jennings out there at practice? Is he out on the field at all? Is he doing any recovery work with the team staff just to get ready for week one? If Jauan Jennings isn't out there week one or on Monday, I don't know that he plays for week one. He hasn't been on the field working with Brock Purdy at all. So how is that chemistry going to be? If he hasn't done any team drills at all, I don't know that he's able to play in week one. Is he able to suit up? I mean, we'll see. This is a huge indicator on whether he's going to be out there for week one or not. If he is not, I feel like the 49ers are still okay receiving. They've got Ricky Pearsall, who I feel like is wide receiver number one. At this point, since training camp has started, Ricky Pearsall has been the guy. He is going to be out there the majority of the snaps. He has bounced back from his hamstring injury, and he has shown that he is wide receiver number one. I think the 49ers have a ton of confidence in him that he'll be out there with the offense a lot. He's going to receive the majority of the snaps at wide receiver, and he'll be out there with Sky Moore. I mean, those two are the only guaranteed wide receivers to be out with the offense in week one. Obviously, they're going to have more guys available. Jacob Cowing is on IR. He'll be coming back. He's got to sit out for at least 4 weeks with that hamstring injury. Jordan Watkins, not sure if he is actually active for week one because he's coming back from that high ankle sprain. If he is in practice this week, potentially he goes out for week one. If he's not out at practice this week, obviously on Monday or Wednesday, he won't be active for week one. So then the 49ers will have to bring up, activate, or promote from the practice squad. Robbie Chosen potentially, Russell Gage might be out there at practice. He is on the 53. So if he's back at practice, he's missed a lot with his injury. If he's back out there, he will be ready for week one. But guys, they could elevate. Robbie Chosen, Malik Turner, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I do think of those three, Robbie Chosen has the highest likelihood of being promoted from the practice squad to the active 53 for week one. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a guy who has a ton of experience with the same type of offense because he was with Green Bay. That's Matt LaFleur, very similar, comes from the Shanahan tree, so understands the concept of Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's very similar. Also with Seattle, so he went from one Kubiak to another Kubiak, and so he should be quickly up to speed. Malik Turner's a guy that they've had a lot of confidence in. He's come back to the practice squad. But Robbie Chosen has had the most experience with the 49ers offense in actual games and with a lot of time in the practice squad. So I think he's the one who has the most likelihood of being upgraded for week one. And then as the season goes along, Marquez Valdez-Scantling probably will get more time and be elevated. I did hear that most of his entire salary is guaranteed. So he's kind of doing the 49ers a solid by staying on the practice squad because he's still getting paid the same, no matter whether he's on the active roster or the practice squad. So with him being on the practice squad, the 49ers can essentially have 54 guys on the roster. Most guys cannot agree to be on the practice squad that are of that stature because they'll lose salary. But because his salary is guaranteed, he can make the same amount of money, whether he's on the practice squad or the active roster. He's still going to get the game bonus if he gets elevated. So it's not a financial burden for Marquez Valdez-Scantling to be on the practice squad or the active roster. It doesn't matter. So that's how that is working out. So it allows them to have another guy on the 53. So I do think that they take the load off of the wide receiver position by having George Kittle out there as a receiver, Luke Farrell as a blocking tight end. I think they go into a two tight end set more than we've seen before. Kyle Juszczyk obviously will be out there as well. Christian McCaffrey looks healthy, so we'll see him. I do think Dominic Puni is going to play at right guard week one because Connor Colby is a rookie. And while obviously he's beat out Nick Zakelj for the position to be backup guard. I think they really wouldn't have put Nick Zakelj on the practice squad, released him if they thought that Dominic Puni wasn't going to be ready for week one. So you kind of read between the lines of what the 49ers have done publicly to understand what they most likely will do in week one. I think on the rest of the offense, it's going to be Luke Farrell and George Kittle, obviously. Trent Williams is active and healthy. I think Ben Bartch will be ready. He's going to wear that elbow protection. He's going to be out there playing with it. Outside of that, the offense is pretty set. I think Brian Robinson will be out there some, maybe taking some of the load off of Christian McCaffrey's shoulders. We'll see how they actually distribute the snap counts for the running backs. I think that'll also be interesting to see. On the defensive side, Renardo Green, Deommodore Lenoir at cornerback, nickelback. Is it Chase Lucas or is it Upton Stout? How are they going to rotate those two guys? At linebacker, it's going to be obviously Fred Warner. I think D Winters. Who else is going to be active? Is it going to be Luke Gifford? Is Nick Martin going to be out there? What other linebackers are going to get rotational spots? I think for the beginning of the season, it is going to be Fred Warner and D Winters. The third one, not quite sure about yet, but if it's Nick Martin, he has really improved from week one to week three. At safety, Jason Pinnock, I believe. And, it could be Marquis Siegel. He's competing with Jair Brown. We'll see how those, how it looks, who's taking the first reps at individual drills. Now, we aren't out there for team drills, so I won't be able to tell you who's taking first team reps or second team reps. But the way they line up for individual drills kind of does indicate. So in wide receiver drills, for instance, it's Demarcus Robinson and Ricky Pearsall taking the first reps because Jauan Jennings isn't out there. The second guys, who is in that order of rotation. Same thing for safeties. We'll kind of see who is taking the first rep, who's taking the second rep when they go out there. A lot of times you can kind of tell who's edged out the player in front of them. It's like Connor Colby in those individual drills would be ahead of Nick Zakel in those individual drills. So sometimes there's small indicators during practice on who's moving up in the depth chart. Defensive line, Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff on the outside. Still haven't seen Yetur Gross-Matos in team drills yet, or even on the field in individual drills. So that's, again, Monday and Wednesday, we'll be looking for Yetur Gross-Matos to come back out there. I think you're going to get a lot of Jordan Elliott and probably Samu Kwanu, Kalia Davis, mostly on the interior. A lot of potential for a five-man front. We haven't seen that a lot for the 49ers, but because of the state of the linebackers, could be that the 49ers use five defensive linemen in the front and then just have Fred Warner and to offer support for Fred Warner and D Winters as linebackers behind them. Potentially. That's what I think they probably will do. And that's something to really keep an eye on once week one and they line up for that first defensive snap. I think Michael Williams will be out there quite a bit, rotating on the inside and the outside. CJ West probably will be out there as well. Alfred Collins, not sure if he's going to be active for that first week. I mean, he potentially could be, but again, he's been catching up, getting back in shape, getting his legs underneath him, which has, he's been improving on. So that's what Robert Saleh said last week. So again, the schedule for this week, they are off Sunday. On Monday, it's a bonus practice. It will have open locker room after that. No one is speaking tomorrow. So Kyle Shanahan, players not at the podium, but we will get to have open locker room. So we'll be talking to guys inside there. Tuesday is off. No availability on Tuesday. Wednesday, again, it is practice as usual. And that's when we'll talk to Kyle Shanahan. Thursday, again, practice. Robert Saleh will talk, and I believe it's Brock Purdy. Friday, short practice. They will travel to Seattle on Friday. No availability on Saturday and Sunday. It is the NFL season, week one. Crazy how it already happens. It's already happening so quickly. All right, so I will definitely do another video on Monday after we watch practice to tell you who was out there, who was not. That'll be an indicator on who is going to be ready for week one. So drop in the comments if you have any questions about anything I've said. Please subscribe, please like, leave me questions if you have any. I'll be on here to reply to them. Hope you guys are all doing well. Happy Labor Day. No rest for the weary. We are going back up to 49ers practice on Monday, even though it's Labor Day. All right. Be safe out there, and I will be talking to you soon.